Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the P-LotPodcast. John here, joined once again by the main man himself, Michael. Michael, you look. We had my good buddy, Corey Frost, aka Cfro. That was his little name tag on the video. Filled in for you on Tuesday with our new experiment of
Shout out.
the weekly recap for the
Shout
NFL,
out.
which I thought went very well.
Good.
But yeah, so there's like this is like the best part of the year for us to do this show just because of football, and now we got baseball
We really,
playoffs.
yeah, it's true. There's like multiple times a year in the sports calendar that we get giddy about. But in terms of our personal content, this is probably the best time of year, I would say.
I agree, brother. And then we got Flyers preseason hockey. Sixers, Jared McCain torn UCL in his thumb. I mean, like,
But
why are we still here, Michael? Just to suffer when it comes to the Sixers?
well, we're not gonna.
We're not going to talk about a certain sports owner on a certain list because no one else is. Unfortunately, we're not talking about that. Okay,
We're not gonna be the first ones.
allegedly. I gotta say allegedly,
That's true.
allegedly,
Let him. I'd love if
allegedly. I know.
him coming
Yes.
after us would be enough proof.
Yeah.
Anyways, we
Yeah.
have a quick not London, Dublin, Ireland game to pick because it starts in about
You
6 minutes.
sprung that on me like the person that sprung upon Skylar Thompson last
We
night.
have
Got robbed.
we have 6 minutes until kickoff, so we need to quickly pick this game, and then it will start as we proceed through the show. Minnesota Vikings. It's their first of 2 weeks out there. I think they play in London next week, so I don't think they're coming home. I think they're gonna stay out in Europe for the week as the NFL.
Yeah, this is the first time the
Slow
Vikings have gone.
rolling.
Yeah, this is the first time the Vikings have gone to Ireland since 879 AD when the Norse Vikings invaded England.
Yeah. And this is the first time in NFL history a team's gonna be playing back-to-back weeks out here. Slow rolling once again, potentially a team out here internationally. I don't know. It's just these owners can't help themselves, John. Anyways,
Yes.
the Vikings are 2.5-point favorites. Once again, Carson Wentz at the helm, coming off an absolute shellacking of Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals. They killed him, John. And Isaiah Rodgers had one of the best, most unique defensive individual performances ever with a long pick
Dude,
six,
he had a 99.9 Pro Football
a
Focus rating.
long fumble recovery for a touchdown, and he also forced another fumble. It was truly remarkable what Isaiah Rodgers
Yeah,
was
when I was
doing out
talking to
there.
Cfro, I was like, "Hey, do you follow or how much stake do you put in Pro Football Focus?" He was like, "John, I don't really listen to that bleep."
Yeah, no, for sure. It's true. So they're taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers, um, they're coming off an ugly win of their own against the New England Patriots. It was the best their defense has looked, but honestly, I think that was more bad offense than good defense from the Steelers. I'm gonna go with the Vikings again. I just feel like that defense, that chaos defense that Brian Flores is cooking up on a weekly basis is enough. I feel like the Steelers' strong suit this year is weirdly their offense is better than their defense for like maybe the first time since the Killer Bees, um, where they had like bad defenses. I don't know their defense blows. It's
Yeah, but
just
the
not
Killer
that
Bees were
great.
with some way better offense than this offense too,
Yes. No, this offense is far from that, but
like above average at best.
I think they're getting like fine enough quarterback play out of Rodgers, and the receiver room is certainly upgraded with Metcalf at the helm, and their tight end room is also bulked out with Jonnu Smith and Freiermuth, and they've been doing pretty decently with their rotational backfield. So I think that Vikings defense is going to have a good time, frustrating Rodgers and frustrating that Steelers
I
offense.
agree. Well, the
And
big news
so I'm
that
taking
came out this
Minnesota.
morning is that Jalen Warren is inactive because he was on the injury report
Hmm.
for Pittsburgh, and like you look
Jordan
at that,
Addison's back for the Vikings
right?
too.
I'm like, yeah, I agree with you, Michael. I am taking Minnesota as well, but I'm taking Minnesota for a different reason. I think this Pittsburgh Steelers team probably should be 0-3. Like people talk about the Eagles getting lucky in these games.
Steelers have been very
The
fortunate
Eagles
for their 2 wins.
basically I would say create their own luck, but they basically put themselves in the positions to win.
Shout out Jalen.
But it's really like the Steelers, like week 1, Jets straight up jetted up at the end of the game, and they benefit from it. Week 2, they get smoked by Seattle.
If anything, there was some things did not go their way in the Seattle game, which is part of why they lost. Like, that whole kickoff fiasco
The
stuff.
the NFL Follies 2025 like leading
Yes.
candidate for worst play of the year, right there, right?
Yeah.
Caleb Johnson now is going to be expected to play today because of the Jalen Warren injury. And
Kenny Gainwell, man.
He was soft benched. He was soft benched last week because of the kickoff fiasco.
Yeah, he's going to have to get some more touches out there, but I think Kenny Gainwell is going to be the lead back today for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's right. That one maybe would not be a bad stream play in a 14-man league
if you have him. Yeah,
if you're
for sure
in dire straits. You need.
I am in dire issues. I'm starting Chris Rodriguez today in the absence of
Bill,
of Eckler, and potentially Bill. Bill's out, right? Krosky Merritt. Hopefully.
He was also to the Commanders.
They're very riddled. We'll get to them later, but yeah. So we're both taking the Vikings for different, but also makes sense, similar reasons.
I think honestly, I do think for the Vikings, obviously the chaos defense is maybe like the most. I would say in terms of like turnovers, obviously, like they are probably like maybe the best turnover defense.
Yeah, I mean, you see like those crazy looks from the all-22 that they're showing like double A gap blitz, and then right before the snap they shift into what looks like cover 2, and then on the snap they rotate into like a cover 1.
Man,
and it's like,
listen, Brian Flores. I would say Brian Flores. Listen, Miami was a horrible fit for him. I think. Like he would be honestly, he'd probably be good as the Steelers head coach.
I agree. No, for sure.
Actually, if you think about it, because that fits more of like the vibe of the city, like his sicko attitude. Because if you like, that's what Bill Belichick would do when he was not, like a senior citizen calling plays.
No, the defense.
Like I remember, like when the Eagles, like the Eagles would play the Patriots defenses, where like Flores was like a defensive assistant, and you would see like one down lineman, 5 linebackers, and they would all walk around so that they
you don't know what's happening exactly,
and precisely. So
yeah, and it's good. It works. And granted, you're facing probably the quarterback in the NFL that this probably works the least against. There's not one coverage or one blitz package or one look that Aaron Rodgers probably has ever not seen in his NFL career at this point.
I just don't.
You're playing a 40-year-old Hall of Famer. Like he's seen it all.
Cheeks.
No, sure, but I think Rodgers is going to be able to get to his checks.
So
the only thing that worries me about picking the Vikings, I'll be honest, it is Carson, because he didn't look great against the Bengals. He didn't look bad. He didn't have to do anything. And if he's going to have to do something because maybe the defense doesn't force 2 defensive touchdowns and 5 turnovers or whatever against the Steelers,
I'm actually going to put the game on in the background.
Go for it. Is Carson going to be able to show out like that? We'll see. Obviously, we'll see as it's starting right now.
I see this Vikings team win games with the likes of Nick Mullins and Joshua Dobbs.
Right.
Like, you mean to tell me Carson can't play competent enough to put up 21 points?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What channel is the London game on, by the way?
Is it on NFL Network?
Because I go to my sports tab. Oh, here it is.
NFL Network, yeah.
Okay, good. Because I was like, I'm gonna I'm
Just
gonna
turn
mute it.
the
I'm not trying to
volume
get
down.
I'm not trying to get copywritten struck by the National Football League for today's
Yeah.
show. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so let's like kind of because we got that out of the way. All right, we so Phillies lock the 2 seed up. Inter squad game Wednesday. They're gonna have fans actually are allowed to attend to watch the inter squad game. I don't know what time the inter squad game is. It's
It's
probably
at it's 6 p.m. So it is at
that's actually smart, dude, because I guarantee you they could sell at least 15, 20,000 tickets.
they did. They're $10 a piece, and they're all gonna go to Phillies charities similar to that of
The Eagles flight night with the Eagles
Eagles
Autism
open
Foundation.
practice. Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
say
yeah,
this.
yeah.
I would say this at the game last night. I was there. Felt like definitely felt like Eagles week 17 resting the starters, not really trying hard kind of thing. I
And
saw
it's like
people.
they had guys out there. It's just like where they're at is
You can't sit everybody in a major league game.
right. And it's I think the players were just kind of getting through it. I don't think they were pushing super hard for the 1 seed. I apparently not because it would have they would have had an opportunity for sure to get it today with the Reds and
Yes,
Mets both
The
winning.
Mets
So
need to win against the Marlins, and the Reds need to beat the Brewers. The Brewers, I would imagine like Christian Yelich and like Churio, those guys might be getting the day off today.
mhm. Well, now, yeah, now especially they're not. There's no reason for the Brewers to try. They're locked into the 1 seed unless they just want to, you know, spoil the Reds. But
We're
yeah,
gonna
so
preview.
we'll get more into baseball
We're gonna
next week.
talk more baseball next week.
But the Phillies are locked in to the um they are locked in to the 2 seed with their loss last night to the Minnesota Twins.
Sorry, I was looking. I'm trying to see if they announced the lineup today for the Brewers. The Brewers have not done so. So, all right, man.
Let's get into the
Well,
rest of these picks. Why don't we? Do you want to do that?
I would say let's. So I want to like kind of how we do our tradition on Sunday here. Um, we should talk about the Thursday night game a little bit.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
before
So
that, let's get into our. I want to talk about the status of possibly the name of the show. So Michael and I were undecided on changing the name of the podcast, not for like growth reasons. It's because of a certain note we received the last game, Eagles Rams, where so the any of the Comcast lots, they handed out a note stating that
you know
there's
what? Hold
only
on. I might be able to go ahead, keep talking. I'll be able to actually I can pull this up, John.
okay. So why don't you read the note out and then we'll draw the conclusion.
Uh, Here, John, do you see that? Do you see my image on the bottom there? Did it pop up to let it
Yes.
in? There you
Yes.
go. Lot P parking update to enhance game day experience beginning with the Eagles Broncos game on October 5th. Lot P will be moved to a directed parking operation. Vehicles will be directed by staff to the first available parking area. You cannot reserve empty parking spaces for tailgating or hold spots for other vehicles. Now, upon reading this again, maybe there's some optimism when it says available parking area. That doesn't mean parking spot, but it means general direction. So maybe there's some hope there, but we're pretty much decided we're probably parking in a different lot this upcoming week because if anyone's ever been to like a festival or a event that you have to park in like a big grass field, you're probably familiar with the workers telling you like, all right, you're here, you're gonna see that guy with the flags, you're gonna go down to him and park in that row, and then you get to the person in the flags are like, go in here, and then there's a guy halfway down the row that's like, come on, come here, and you're gonna park right here, and then the guy behind you're gonna park right here, and you're gonna park right here, and it's like they're hand parking you until they fill up each row, and you know, so they don't miss a spot, so everyone gets a spot. And this is effectively killing tailgating, unfortunately, because you can't park next to your friends. You know, you can't park next to your family. You can't park next to the people you usually park next to. So what? We're gonna all just walk over to Joe's truck and say, "Hey, people next to Joe, I know you guys probably want to tailgate, but we care more or something. So why don't we're just gonna kind of take the space behind your car and tailgate with it." Like you just can't do that. So we're gonna try to park in a different lot. It's horrible, man. This was like we were like in mourning when this occurred. You know, this was like it was truly a tragedy. So we'll be seeing how we proceed, and if we find a new home, we're gonna potentially change the name of this podcast to whatever the new lot that we park in. Because unfortunately, we might not be parking a P lot anymore, and that's a damn shame.
I don't
So
know. I feel like just I like the name because it flows,
it does flow,
but
man.
I
It was
also feel like
perfect
we're not giving like free publicity.
to the evil.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
man. Like, listen, like, because this is the thing. Like, you brought up like the whole tailgating thing, right? Like,
yeah.
here's the thing: if we parked for free, then I don't blame them one iota for them wanting to direct where people park, right?
But we don't.
But the thing is, we don't park for free, Michael.
$50,
They're
John.
charging $50.
$50. How about that? You know,
$50. Well, for a single vehicle,
$50.
if you have like a bus or like a truck with like a maybe you're bringing like a big smoker or like a bar or something with you, you pay $100, dude.
Hmm.
Right? Like, think about that. Like that's what you're paying. Like you're to
Yeah,
park your car.
yeah.
And they want to basically limit how much you could do it. And to like here's the thing, if you want people to park there and you're charging all that money, because then the natural thing is, oh, why don't you just take SEPTA down there? Oh, well, they're limiting SEPTA.
It's
It, it,
all it's
it's
all
literally like they're trying to. It is.
they're trying to end tailgating while also making you pay for parking and spend more money at their built up facilities to tailgate. You want to tailgate, come to Stateside Live, the new and improved, and go hang out
Well, so
there
I
and
was at
spend
it. I'm still
$18
going
for
to
a
call it.
beer.
I'm still going to call it Xfinity.
Yeah,
That's what everyone knows it as.
yeah.
Like the Carrier Dome's not the Carrier Dome anymore for all you
No, it's
Syracuse
something
fanatics.
obscure,
It's something
honestly.
obscure, but everyone calls it the Carrier Dome still.
Right, right.
So at Xfinity, like, dude, your food options at Xfinity are Lorenzo's Pizza, just a big slice of plain pizza, which I do enjoy a plain pizza.
It's fine. It's, you
It's
know,
fine. Or like Chicky and Pete's crab
there's a
fries.
couple of restaurants in the corners.
Or like and like Gino's like steaks. But Michael, like when people like we tailgate, we actually cook like legit food, not like corporate Philadelphia slop.
And to be fair, it's also a lot cheaper, John. We're getting groceries versus getting the $18 beer
But here's
and
the
the
thing though, too, the
$14
Phillies
slice of
lots. So now
pizza.
the Phillies lots haven't banned tailgating. So and the Comcast owns part of the Phillies, but not like the majority stake. So now if you're like the Phillies, you could be like, oh, we're gonna let anything go in our lots because now, we can we can charge parking passes. Now we can sell our own parking passes during
Mhm.
Eagles games to compete like capitalism. Like, or I
Yeah.
don't want to this is like it's not even capitalism what they're doing. It's literally like, end stage. Like, I don't know. It's like there's no free market. You're not trying to get people to want to go to your lot, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like, if you want people, like, you're trying to compete with like other lots, I suppose, to get people to go or want to go.
mm-hmm.
Like, you see people post up, like you said.
Oh, big touchdown, Jordan Mason fumble recovery by the Steelers. Fumble 6, Steelers on the board. Brutal.
Yes.
I'm sure no one had Steelers defense for first touchdown out there, so that's a
No.
tough one.
Oh yeah, Jordan Mason on my fantasy team. That's lovely.
I'm going against Jordan Mason, so that's good. Yeah, listen, John, it's pretty dire. We'll report back in like 3 shows from now, roughly, on how our parking experience goes. But it's just sad. It's just sad, the lack of care for the fans. No one ever cares about the fans. None of these leagues, none of these franchises actually care about the fans. It's about our dollar, not about the person. And that's just, that's where we've fallen today as a society at times. And that's just it's a shame. It's a hard pill to swallow, but when you realize it, it's really like opening your eyes truly when you look through everything of a lens of like they don't care about us, they just care about our wallet. Everything starts to make a lot more sense.
Right.
Why are there commercials on NFL Red Zone? They don't care about us, John. They care about
Right.
maybe us buying some
By the
extra
way,
Uber
heads
Eats.
up, they reversed the fumble 6. He was down. His knee was down.
The touchdown was down, but he did fumble.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm asking, is that what happened, or did he not
No, I
fumble?
still see Carson Wentz on the field. So unless Carson Wentz is now playing DN like Baker Mayfield on the
Well, did
20,
they just what's the score?
nothing. He was down.
Oh, so he was down, okay.
He was
Interesting.
down.
Alright. Okay.
Carson Wentz is this. I feel like I'm watching like someone's like Madden from like 2000 and oh wow, dude, Carson's firing it in there, Michael. He looks.
He looks
This is like
crisp.
watching him throw to Justin Jefferson's like there's an alt Michael. There is
There's an
an
alternate
alternate
universe out there, man,
reality where this is the Eagles that we're watching right now.
and they have 8 wins a year. Anyways, so
Yes.
let's get into the rest of these picks. I don't feel like getting too worked up about the parking lot again on a
You know what?
Sunday.
I
It's
mean,
just not.
let's just real quick talk about the Seahawks and the
Oh,
Cardinals
yes, sorry.
because
Yeah, that
we do have
that was a
some
good game,
personal
man.
stake in that game.
That was a good game. A classic divisional game. These Thursday night games have been pretty solid thus far. They haven't been too bad. I think we got another good one
Yeah,
this
friend
week.
of the show, Chris Haffey, was referring to Marvin Harrison Jr. as a Mitsubishi Marv.
Mitsubishi Marv. Yeah. He turned up in the second half. That was pretty I would say encouraging if I were a Cardinals fan or just a general whatever. He looked like he got some of that confidence back and he was cooking. Him and Kyler, that connection was a lot better in the second half. I think that's the biggest thing. I think they just need to be more on the same page. I think Marvin was seeing a bit of ghosts. Stopped running his route on the inbreaker on the first interception, and the second interception, it just straight up bouncing off his hands into the defender's arms. But he did battle back, ended up making some huge catches, and had a really nice touchdown catch. But ultimately, the Seahawks came through with the win. Jonathan Gannon's now what 2-12 or whatever, or 2-10 in his last how many ever games against teams with a winning record. That's not very good. It's not a good stat at all.
It does kind of like line up though when he was on the Eagles, where
It's
the Eagles
true.
defense against good teams would just struggle.
Good
Like remember,
quarterbacks,
like good
mainly.
quarterbacks, and remember in 2022, even when we played like Green Bay, we still gave up like 28 points that day. The thing is, the offense just scored
Well, the
tons of
offense was a
points.
totally different. Yeah, there's a different animal. But no, it's true, man. And Sam Darnold, shout out Sam Darnold. It's a good quarterback. I think the Seahawks, honest to God, as much as I like head scratcher, why trade Metcalf and let you know uh, Lockett walk for nothing? I know like JSN's the future, but I feel like you didn't need to totally burn it all down. Who am I? Who am I to criticize? They went younger with both their head coach and their quarterback, and as it stands right now, Darnold is playing like the better quarterback when compared to Geno Smith, and Mike McDonald is coming into his own a little bit as a nice defensive mind. I see a lot of Ravens fans upset that they didn't keep him, as a potential replacement to Harbaugh, and instead are stuck with Harbaugh, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, a lot of stuff there. Apparently, John, his knee wasn't down. He fumbled, but his feet were out of bounds while like touching the ball, so it killed the play. That's what happened.
Oh yeah, because he did touch. He did
His
touch
legs
it.
were out of bounds. Yeah. So, anyways, all that to say, I think Sam Darnold's pretty good, man. He makes a lot of plays that are gutsy. He stands in the pocket, maneuvers, and then rips one, not afraid to rip one on like a 18-yard dig route. That's good stuff, man. That's good quarterbacking. That's stuff that, you know, you expect to see out of the upper echelon of quarterbacks. And more often than not, especially at least in the regular season last year and so far this year, he's looked like an upper level talented quarterback in this league.
I gotta say one thing though about the Cardinals. We'll go the opposite way. Is that I think Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, early November, people were talking about him because this is when the Cardinals were like 7-2 or
They
seven
were
and
up
three.
there in, like, EPA with their
Right.
offense too,
Everyone
like,
was
a lot of
talking
their
about
stats.
this guy as a potential head coach. They're like he'll get interviews on the next cycle, but then like Ben Johnson, the following year he's guaranteed to be a head coach.
Right.
Michael, if their offense just keeps underperforming, which I think it is, I feel like that offense is underperforming to a certain extent.
It
Like
absolutely is
like
underperforming,
they're
and I
gonna
know
like
James
Gannon
Conner
could.
got
I
hurt,
mean,
but
Gannon could lose his job because I think, ironically, the next Cardinals head coach might have been coaching in that game, Michael, and Clint Kubiak.
I don't know. I think they like Gannon. I think they're gonna give him a longer leash than a lot of, I'll honestly say, just Eagles fans expect him to get, because that defense is pretty good. They still have some sets where, "Oh, how did Josh Sweat end up on a receiver 30 yards down the field?" And it's like,
Well, I
well,
think if you
they
watch
had
the
four
NFL,
guys on JSN, that's why. Like, they were so hyper focused on JSN that there was no help behind Josh Sweat, and he had to carry that receiver 30 yards down the field.
well,
Granted, you never want that, but,
did you
JSN's that
see
guy.
near the end of the game some of the sets? Like, keep in mind, the game is tied. The Seahawks
Yeah,
need
they
a
were
field
playing they
goal,
were playing prevent,
which
and
was absurd
that's
because
that's the Gannon classic right
that's
there.
the Gannon Classic, and that I
Listen,
think
that's the Vic Fangio classic a little bit too. That's just that brain tree of defense. What the hell were the Eagles running? They were running either cover one, like, blitzes the final drive, or they sit back in soft zone, and the Rams marched right down the field, John. They were in a pretty short field goal range to win the game. We were fortunate enough they blocked the kick. Like, it was the
I think
defense
also
didn't
the
really
Eagles
make a
defense was
stop.
exhausted at that point because they'd spent the entire first half
Sure,
on
but
the field.
it was also, the same thing happened in the snow, and then they eventually Jalen Carter took over for 2 plays. It's sometimes it's the weakness of the Vic Fangio defense is
End
those
of
late
game.
game stops. And listen, that's a scary weakness to have, but it's true, man. Look at look at Nick Foles in 2018, in the double doink game. Eagles can't move the ball for anything, and all of a sudden they put together a game-winning drive and score their only whatever of the game. That's Fangio right there. Look at the Falcons game last year. That's Fangio. Look at the Panthers game. Xavier Legette drops a game-winning touchdown. There were opportunities, for things to go poorly. Um, that sometimes it went the Eagles' favor, sometimes in the Commander game, another great example that they lost. So, And even the one that they won, they were up 2 scores, and then they let them march down the field, and they give up that free touchdown. Now you're sweating out an onside kick. That's not where you wanna be at sometimes. So, that's kind of that Fangio trait. They seem to all share that trait, which is a brutal trait to share, but it is what it is. We'll
Right.
see. We'll keep an eye on the Cardinals. I do think they have I'd like to think they're talented enough to be competitive, but when they just play games like that, it's so frustrating, and it probably falls on
Well,
Kyler a
and not just
lot.
that too. Like people were bitching on the key end of the game. They're putting in DeMarcado in Trey Benson's role, and everyone's hyping up
Yeah.
Trey Benson.
Yeah,
Like fancy
DeMarcado
guys,
scored though.
it's true, but I also too, it's like kind of like the Cardinals watching them. They are a frustrating team to watch.
I agree.
They are a
I
very
agree.
frustrating team to watch, and it's like that's why you're like you're sort of like with Gannon is listen, man. I think Kyler Murray's definitely not a bad quarterback. Like people talk about
No,
him.
I don't think he's bad. I just
He's
think
not. I also think though too. Like
he's probably
I
just
think
not great.
I think it's coaching related, dude. I just saw a picture earlier this week of Baker and Sam Darnold on the Panthers. Like you mean to tell me that these two guys? We're going to talk about that. We already talked about Darnold. We're going to talk about Baker. Like these guys aren't dependent on being saved by good coaches.
Yeah, NFL is a lot to do with coaching, a lot to do with
Right.
situation,
All right, let's
always.
get into
All
these
right.
picks. Let's blast
Yeah.
through these picks, man. All right.
Do you
First
want to
game.
start with the Eagle game? It's right up there.
Uh I feel like when we buck tradition, I don't
We
want to
started with it in was it Kansas City maybe? And it
yeah.
worked out? Or
No.
Dallas? I don't know. Regardless. All right.
Let's just
First
do
game we have Saints Bills. So the Saints,
yeesh.
they're 14.5 point underdogs in Buffalo.
Get used to paying Josh Allen tax on these
Yeah.
spreads if you're picking
So
the games.
it's hard, man. This is a hard game to pick against the spread. You can, just because it's a massive amount of points. And the Bills are coming off, the mini bye because they played Thursday, so they have the extra days off. The Saints are coming off getting absolutely railroaded by the Seattle Seahawks. Um, I- do you just take Buffalo and just assume the Saints really don't have a ton going for them? It would just have to be the Bills not trying all that hard, because if the Bills put in a good effort day, they're gonna just blow them out. I know it's the NFL and it's hard to blow teams out, but the Saints really just aren't that good, and they got bad quarterback play. They got bad defense is really not that inspiring, and the Bills are a top two team in this league. The way they're playing,
Oh yeah,
especially on
top
offense.
three minimum,
Their
dude.
offensive line is out of this world. It really keeps it.
So
They don't take
I'm
negative plays.
checking one thing here. So the Bills play the Patriots next week, man. And look, if you're trying to go the angle, oh, what if this is like a trap game? Like the Bills,
It's just I don't think
like
it's that.
this. I mean, bro, definitely the Bills are going to win this game. It would be shambolic if they somehow lose this game. Like there would be questions that must be asked.
Yeah.
I think the Bills trap game may be the Patriot game, not this game. Yeah. Oh God, they play dude. The Bills schedule, bro. Dude, they're playing. Dude, they're like Penn State. They're playing all these cupcakes to start the
Yeah, no,
season.
the Bills have listen, they're playing the NFC South, which is the worst division in football, probably. And they're playing what other division do they play this year? The AFC, um, is it also the AFC South? Mm, they play the AFC North, which if Burrow's gonna be hurt all year and the Steelers are mid and the Browns suck, it's a very easy schedule for the Bills this year. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And it happens that all their tough games are at home. They have Baltimore at home, KC at home, Eagles at home. So
Yeah, bro. I'm taking the Bills to cover these points.
yeah, yeah. All right, enough of that game. Another slop game that I don't want to spend too much time on is the Carolina Panthers taking on the New England Patriots. This is a huge spread for a team that just won 30-0.
Yeah,
Um,
because this is like this is Vegas going like
yeah, they're throwing it out there. They're casting it. Are you going to take the Panthers plus 5.5? John, I'll be honest. Like, I don't think the Patriots are that good. The Patriots probably shouldn't be favored by 5.5 points against anybody.
this. Honestly, I think they're trying to capitalize on casual bettors who are like, oh, Vrabel, he's a good coach. Because if you look
It's
at
just
last
they're
week,
just
like
not a
dead
good
ass though,
team.
last week though, the Patriots literally like remember when the Sixers were like processing like hardcore and they would
Yeah,
just find
John,
these
it was
absurd ways to lose games?
they
That
were
looked like a process loss, the
they were
Ramondre
dual
Stevenson.
wielding pistols shooting themselves in the foot, taking turns. It was awful. Like how many red zone turnovers, fumbling in the end zone, throwing an interception on the goal line. Like it was multiple red zone trips that were nothing because of turnovers. And like they should have won that game last week and they just played such poor, unclean football that it led to that.
So the Patriots defensive coordinator, Terrell Williams, this is sad. He recently was announced he is battling
Touchdown, Kenny Gainwell. Wow.
wow. They announced that he's battling prostate cancer, right?
Hmm,
Like that's like
I did see that.
tough. I think the Patriots are going to go out and play hard for him, and also too like you mean to tell me after the disaster class last week, where both of your top two running backs cost you the game, that like Terrell Henderson isn't going to get more looks. Like Travion Henderson isn't going to get your big time second round pick.
They're
People thought
just not doing it. I don't know, John. They're just not doing it. It's been 4
it's because of
weeks. I
Josh
think
McDaniels. It's because Josh McDaniels or Josh McDip, is their offensive coordinator. He hates playing young guys. We've seen this before. He hates playing the younger players. He's forced to play Drake May because he's the franchise quarterback. He's the future
listen, I
franchise.
mean, so yeah. I
I'm gonna take. You know what? I'm gonna take the Panthers here. I'm gonna tell you why I'm
yeah, I
taking the
am too.
Panthers here because I think it's gonna be a close game. But I can honestly screams like a backdoor cover cheese bag job. Like the Patriots are down. Like the Patriots will be down by 3 and they're covering, and then you're gonna see
Mhm.
like Stephon Diggs lateral. Panthers pick it off, run it back the other way for a touchdown. Like something akin
Mhm.
to the Indiana Hoosiers intentional safety to end the game, backdoor cover
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Iowa, something wild like that. I feel like that could be
All
the
right.
case today.
That's too much time on this game. I can't stand this game. So that game sucks. I hope to see 0 snaps of that game today. Um, this next game, though, very intriguing. We've had a lot of line movement because of injuries.
This is
I
also
was
a revenge game, I think. Did Atlanta win this game last year?
No, I don't think so.
No, the Commanders barely won. Jaden Daniels had a monster game. They won in overtime last year. This is a
So
revenge.
yeah, yeah.
This is
So
a
the
revenge game for
Commanders. I
Atlanta.
mean, I guess I don't think the Falcons think it's that. Well,
No,
Falcons
yes,
aren't
they
good enough
do,
to.
man. It's the NFL. This is a
They're not good
revenge game
enough
for the
to
Eagles
care
today.
about that. Yeah, ooh, revenge on Mariota. Like the the Falcons are at home against the Commanders. No Jaden Daniels, no Terry McLaurin, obviously no Eckler. Um, I think no Bill Krosky Merritt. I think he popped up on the injury report late in the week. We'll check. We will check it. Um, he is still
He's
ex-
expected to play according to Ian Rappaport.
but he's like listed as questionable as it stands, which is not inspiring. Regardless, no Daniels, no McLaurin. They won last week without him, without Daniels, but now they have no McLaurin, and it's going to be Mariota again, who played fairly well against the Raiders. This game's in Atlanta, though. The Falcons, they desperately need a win. They've lost. Both of their losses have been pretty egregious. losing the really tight one to Tampa that, you kind of choked away at the end, not making enough plays, and then losing in blowout fashion to the one of the worst teams in the league, Carolina Panthers. You need to come out and win a game against a backup quarterback and no star receiver. Like, it's just simple as that. If you are serious, even remotely, about being a playoff team, these are the games that you need to bank home with a win. You need to lean on Bijan, you need to lean on Drake London, and your defense just has to be kind of normal, like the way it was the first 2 weeks of the season. Their defense obviously struggled against Carolina, but a lot of that was also to do with how bad the offense played, leading to that many points allowed. But they played great against Minnesota. They played really well for most of the Buccaneers game and then just kind of fell apart at the end. You got to be able to stick it to a backup quarterback. I'm taking Atlanta -1.5. I got them when this line was even closer to even before Daniels was out, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
taking Atlanta.
yeah. It does feel like in the NFL, there's always these like tropes or myths we call them, Michael. I don't know
Hmm.
if you think this is a myth, but when a team that's like average to above average, even like I think the Falcons are an average team. When
Sure.
they get shut out and embarrassed, the following week they come out playing much more inspired football, right? And they got
Yeah.
Raheem Morris as their head coach. Michael, Raheem Morris is he's definitely not a quiet guy, shall I say. He's probably was cussing him out in practice this week about them getting shut out and embarrassed by the Carolina Panthers, right? So
Yeah.
I would imagine, and you look at the Commanders though too, like you just said, a lot of injuries. They won last week with the backup quarterback. Their offense was firing on all cylinders.
It's one of
Yeah,
those things where if you're gonna tell Commanders fans and you're gonna tell the team, "Hey, Jaden Daniels is gonna miss," do we think he's gonna miss next week too? Or do we think this is it? He was, like, in line to play during the week, but then was laid out. So I think honestly they're trying to have him play next week because they play at the Chargers. So if you say Jaden Daniels is gonna miss 2 games in the season after you start 1-1, if you told them and fans were like, "Listen, we're gonna go 1-1 with Mariota starts, and then Daniels will be back," you'll take that. You'll take getting 1 win
right.
out of them. So that's kinda where I think they're at. So yeah, we're both taking Atlanta -1.5. Next game, another interesting game. Cleveland Browns on the road against the Detroit Lions. Now the Lions,
Oh, I
the
think
way
I
they
know where you're going
played
to go with this.
the Lions, the way they played against Baltimore was definitely inspiring of like, oh, maybe the brain drain of losing their coordinators is not going to hurt as much as we thought. We thought after they played Green Bay that maybe that's going to be the case. And listen, maybe when they play like actual elite defenses and not some fake elite defense like the Baltimore Ravens, they can get exposed a little bit, but they were doing whatever they wanted to Baltimore, and it got a lot worse once Matabike went down. The Ravens have very little edge rush. Regardless, we're not talking about Baltimore here. We're talking about Detroit. Their offense looked great. They were doing whatever they wanted. They were running the ball however they pleased. They were throwing the ball however they pleased. And they put up a ton of points that way, and they killed them. They were gashing them with huge runs, especially. You look at the side of Cleveland, dude, Miles Garrett is just that guy. He is just that good. He has been the best defensive player in football for the last handful of years, and it's for good reason. Like, he almost single-handedly was the reason they beat Green Bay last week, of his ability to just take over the game and immediately get past an offensive tackle like they're not even there. It really does wreck the game. Granted, I think Detroit has a better offensive line than Green Bay, and I think they have a better offense than Green Bay. So I
Wow.
think maybe they shouldn't they shouldn't in theory, they should not have as much trouble as Green Bay had moving the football. Like, the Browns' offense sucked against Green Bay, and they still won the game because the defense played that well. I don't think like, knowing the Lions like I know my Lions, is they are whores for running up the score, and they love
Oh,
to beat up on
yes.
bad teams. So I am gonna take Detroit -10. But however, I will say if they Browns do cover this spread or heaven forbid, even win this game somehow, I'm going to start calling them a playoff team. I'm so serious. If they win this game today, I'm calling them a playoff team because Myles Garrett is going to take over. He's just going to show he has the ability to take over a handful of games, and they're going to win like 9 games off the back of him just wrecking everything in front of
I
him.
did my early MVP rankings, and I was debating, like, do we even consider defensive players for this award anymore because they have their own award, sort of like how like wide receivers and running backs
Yeah,
have their own
sure.
award. But man, Michael, like if I were to do the MVP rankings right now, I would say number 1 is Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Josh Allen, close. Then like distant third is like Jalen Hurts. Then like number
Lamar's
4,
playing well
and
too.
like number 4, I'd put maybe like Jonathan Taylor.
I mean, listen, you're going to have Garrett up there is the point.
Right.
Like,
But then I'm putting number 5, I'm putting Myles Garrett because I'm like, I can't put Puka there. He hasn't got a touchdown yet.
no, you're putting Garrett up there as just
In fact,
like
I'd
the
probably put
way.
Myles Garrett maybe like number 3, Jalen Hurts number 4.
No, it's the takeover. Garrett has been ridiculously good.
Here's the thing that's like, here's kind of like my take on this game, like with the Lions especially. Look, Cleveland has a really good defense. However, you saw this in the Raven game when they're just like, there's way too much talent on the field for the Browns defense to like cover, especially with that Jim Schwartz style defense.
Most of those Ravens drives, John, were under 50 yards for
Right.
touchdowns.
And
Yeah.
now we're talking about the Lions defense against the putrid Browns offense. I think Quinshon Judkins is going to be a good player. However, that Cleveland passing attack is probably like the most anemic passing attack because, one, they have a 41-year-old man playing quarterback who 2 years ago was all but retired, who should probably
Right.
at this point be holding a clipboard.
Yeah.
So, 2, like their offensive line isn't very good at pass protection. Like the Cincinnati Bengals were getting to Joe Flacco. The Cincinnati Bengals, Michael. Let's not pretend like their defense is actually
Yeah,
good.
the Browns offense is putrid. It's
Like if there's
putrid.
like if Jim Schwartz wants to do a power play and become the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, like he could probably do it
Yeah.
successfully. In all
I don't think
honesty,
he wants to, but
I don't think he wants to. But if he did, like he probably could get away with it at this
so
point.
you're taking Detroit as well.
I'm taking Detroit as well because look, man, this is what was startling to me. Like this, like the secondary for the Lions blows. Like, don't get me twisted. Their
It's not great.
secondary
Yeah.
is bad. You know what's not bad on the Detroit Lions defense, Michael? It's their pass rush. They pressured Lamar 30 times.
Yeah,
30
Aiden
times.
Hutchinson looks healthy, which is shocking. I didn't think he'd look this
I thought it
back
would
to
take him
himself.
like at least another
Yeah,
month or
yeah,
two.
absolutely.
That's crazy. Yes, I'm taking the Lions as well.
Next game we have a divisional game between a couple of 0-3 teams.
Wow.
The Tennessee Titans are 7-point underdogs against the Houston Texans. John, the Texans suck.
Yeah, but have you seen
Point
the
blank.
Texans' losses versus like the Titans and their opponents they're playing?
I don't think the Texans are going to lose today because I think they're just going to have to win. There's no way they're starting 0-4. But their offense, you want to talk about an anemic looking offense. The Houston Texans are the poster child for that right now because their offensive line, as we know, is horrible. It's terrible. We knew it was going to be terrible, and it might be worse than we even thought it was going to be. CJ Stroud also just does not look good, and that's a shame.
Well, I have
For
a
every
like,
couple
well, I'm going to
good
be
plays,
honest.
he looks
Like,
like
I know we're like,
garbage.
I'm not trying to absolve CJ Stroud from his mistakes because yeah, he's been making mistakes. I'm not going to
He
sit
looks
here.
bad, John. Like it's just
Yeah,
he doesn't look good.
Michael, everyone, yeah, anyone playing behind that Texans offensive line would look bad except for maybe like 5 quarterbacks in the NFL.
It's a fair point. But he was supposed to be one of those guys.
I know, but that's not that. I mean, listen, him, little bro, and Caleb Williams probably was a kind of a bad look.
Yeah.
And it's not really and him going on all these like basically like it's almost like CJ Stroud was like a musical artist that has like a big number 1 hit who goes on every podcast to talk about how great he is.
He was an industry plant.
Industry plant.
Industry plant CJ Stroud.
And just to get everyone to forget that the creep was on the Texans for like 6 years. to make everyone forget that happened, right?
John,
Possibly.
it's like that is a I don't hate that, and I think that's true. I think there's truth to that actually,
But that
which is
being said,
funny.
though, like Michael,
They had to rebrand the uniform,
but like
a lot of
it's
stuff.
I think it's almost kind of like how do I put this? If you're like a team, you're like a GM, and you want to draft like a left tackle in the first round, and there's people like the owners like, no, I want us to take like the quarterback, or like I want us to take an edge rusher. Why do we have to go offensive line? Like you show like Texans tape to the owner and be like, this is why we're taking an offensive lineman. Look at how bad this offensive line is you see here, right? I said,
Yeah.
we're not going to have this happen, you know?
No, I hear you. Wow, big play touchdown in Dublin. Well, it looks like we were wrong on our Steelers pick.
Oh, look, DK Metcalf looking like DK Metcalf.
Yeah. No, John, the Texans
I'm taking
the
the
Texans
Titans. I'm taking the Titans to cover. Maybe not maybe even a win. I'm going to tell you why. Is that the Titans, they switched play callers, right? Brian Callahan is not calling plays anymore.
Mhm.
They're changing it to their quarterback's coach. I think maybe Brian Cal. It's like this is definitely a Sirianni type move. Like they saw what the Eagles did with Sirianni like 4 years ago, and they're like, "Oh, you need to do this, or else Brian Callahan, you're out of a
The
job."
problem is that Brian Callahan is nothing like Nick Sirianni. Like,
That is correct, but
because
that's the
Brian
thing, though.
Callahan, the
But
whole
Michael, do you see these
appeal.
talk shows about people talk about the Eagles? They're like, the Eagles are a terrible team, but they're a super team. Like it
Yeah,
makes
listen, I don't listen to that nonsense. The thing with it's such a waste of my energy and time. When I look at Brian Callahan was supposed to be like the appeal was like, listen, we got a guy that's going to call plays, and we won't have to worry about him ever leaving. And now it's like, well, now he's giving a play calling when they finally get who like actually looks like the answer to quarterback. That seems like an awful red flag right there. The Titans are frustrating because I feel like their defense is like solid enough and they have weapon they like the receiver room looks like dog piss, but in theory it should be a little bit better. But I think Brian Callahan is a bit of an idiot. But yeah, the Texans are terrible on offense, and I think this is going to be what the last handful of games were that the Texans have played, which are ugly, sloppy, bad offense, low scoring, and this time they're just gonna come out victorious on like a game-winning field goal or something. So I'm with you. I'm taking Tennessee +7. The Texans should not be favored by that many. A winless team should never be favored by that many points.
yeah.
Um,
One last, can I make one last Texans point because it does
yeah.
involve the Eagles? CJGJ was released
Oh yeah.
midweek by the Texans. It sounds like to me it was because he was being himself. And a guy like CJGJ, when you're winning games, when he's being like his like idiosyncrasies, his little quirks that he
Yeah,
has.
if he's gonna be complaining about certain things, but you're winning, one, he's probably complaining less, and two, you're winning, so you kinda just ignore it. But when you're 0-3 and he's screaming up saying and allegedly mentioning contract values and maybe not picking up the D'Amico Ryans defense as they thought he would, whatever, it's easy to cut him. And that's, it's unfortunately just been the story of his career. He just can't stick. So yeah, they have issues internally, which is
Yeah.
also not good, not a good recipe.
Speaking
This
of
next
complaining,
game,
the
we
New York
have
Giants.
the debut of Jackson Dart and the New York
Yes.
Giants at home against the undefeated Los Angeles Chargers. This game can be fishy. I smell a little fish in the water.
May I bring up a Giants history scenario for you?
Please.
The last time the Giants started a rookie quarterback when they were winless against a team that was undefeated, like not week one,
Sure.
was 1979 when Phil Simms made his first NFL start on the 0-5 Giants. Bill Parcells was the head coach.
Tell me it
Against,
was the Chargers, John.
it was against the 5-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh my god.
And the Giants won that game. Michael, can I ask you a question, though?
I don't know if Jackson Dart is as good as Phil Simms.
Um, yes, that's a very. Phil Simms was a first-round pick out of Milton College,
Big
not Ole
school.
Miss.
Produce a lot of NFL talent these days.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so Russ has been bad. There's no other way to slice it. He has
Oh my
not
God,
been good.
Corey and I were watching that sequence that he had at the end of the Chiefs game. That was maybe the worst red zone sequence I've seen by a
Yeah,
quarterback
he's
in a
throwing
very
deep
long
balls in the
time.
red zone. Like goal to go, and he's throwing deep balls.
I
Like
thought
that's the
at
problem.
first I thought he was throwing it away. Like, there's no one open. You throw it out the back of the end zone.
And then he was doing that on fourth.
But he's
Yeah.
doing it on fourth down. Like, what are you worried about? Throwing a
I don't
pick
know.
six?
I don't know what's going on there. So, yeah, Russ has been bad. I still am mildly surprised they went to Dart this quickly. Feel like you could have waited a little bit longer to get
I
through
think
because
it's honestly, Michael, Dable. I think Dable and McDaniel keep switching off who the first head coach is to be fired this year. When you're
what's the goal here? You get his feet wet against the Chargers, and then you go and beat the Saints on the road,
and then you play the
but then you
Eagles.
play the Eagles, and then the Broncos, and then the Eagles, which are look at the defenses you're giving him to. The Chargers defense, which has been ridiculous this season. The Saints defense, which at times has shown life, even though it's pretty bad. The Eagles defense, which we know is very good. The Broncos defense, which we also know is very good. And then the Eagles defense again, which we know is very good. And then the 49ers defense, which looks a little rejuvenated under Robert Saleh.
Dude,
So
if
that's a pretty brutal stretch, man.
If Jalen Hurts is Patrick Mahomes, then Jackson Dart is Dylan Raiola. He is like a Jalen Hurts wannabe.
He's Jackson Dart is just bad. He's not good.
And by
He's not
that I mean like
polished.
he's trying to copy like the quotes and like the attitude, which maybe not a bad person to emulate, I suppose. But did you see Dexter Lawrence's reaction this week when they said, "Oh, we're making the switch. What's the thoughts on making the switch from Russell Wilson to Jackson Dart?" And he's like, "I'm not moved." He basically said, like, "I don't care."
He's like, my quarterback's my quarterback. Yeah, he seems pretty checked out. Listen, it's got to be
That's your
frustrating
best
playing
player.
him. Yeah.
He's checked out. It's
Yeah.
honestly, I think maybe Jameis Winston was more deserving to be in this spot because I
just think it would have been better to wait on
about what
Dart.
happened to him in his early part of his career, I suppose, but like allegedly. But I feel like when he was with the Browns, like the players seemed to respect him more than the creep, right?
No, listen, I just think that there was no reason to do it this soon. I don't know. I think you're throwing him to the Wolves against the Chargers today, and then what? Oh, he gets to play the Saints. Happy
Well,
day, but
it's
you got to go
because
play
you
in the
try to emulate
Meadowlands.
the Giants of old. So like when Eli Manning, like the Giants were like 3-2 in like 2004, like 3-1, and they benched Kurt Warner to put Eli Manning in. And dude, it took Eli Manning like 3 years for him to be like a competent quarterback. So to your point, that's
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
Well, what do
I'm
you think
taking the
about this game, though? I
Chargers.
mean, the Chargers
I'm
are
taking the
3 and
Chargers,
0.
dude. Yeah, the
They're
Chargers
3
are
and 0
good.
for the first time since 2002, right?
Chargers are
Now,
really good.
I do feel like this is a very fishy line because the Giants are as inept as teams like the Saints and like the Titans. Yet they're at home. And to your point, though, you mentioned last week when we're at the game, the whole giving 3 points at home thing, I feel like is like not
It's
a
about
thing.
a point. It's like a point.
So if this game was in Los Angeles,
Or in a neutral, it's like 7.
it's 7. Or this was in Dublin, this is a 7.
7. But if
Everyone,
this
yeah,
is
this is
in,
absolutely bizarre because look, people are actually taking the Giants to cover
they're
the
taking
points.
that bait. Yeah,
I think this is absolute complete bait, Michael. I think you will see upsets this weekend. I don't think it's this game. This is the bait game. I'm taking the
yeah.
Chargers. I'm not taking the bait.
I agree. Chargers defense is very good. Their offense is very good, except for the running game. The running game is mostly bad. Amari Hampton does not look as good as I thought he was going to look. I think they just need to put the ball in Herbert's hands, honestly, just a ton, and just let him cook. But yeah, we're going to open up the 4 o'clock slate now with the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Niners are undefeated. They've won their last 2 games with Mac Jones. They get Brock Purdy back today. They still are injured elsewhere. Nick Bosa's out for the season, which really is not good for them. George Kittle's still out. I'm going against my better judgment, and I'm going to take the Jags. I don't really think there's a good reason for me to take the Jags. While they've been winning, they haven't looked great doing it. Shane Waldron is legitimately one of the most, the worst coaches ever. Brian Thomas Jr. has a lot that he needs to figure out and get back to himself. It's just messy, but I think Liam Cohen demands some goodness.
Can we talk about
I'm
how much
taking
of
the
a bunch
Jags.
of whiny crybabies the Niners are? Do you see what Robert Saleh said about
I mean,
the
they're
Jags?
always like this, man.
This legal sign stealing that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm taking the Jags. I'm going to take the Jags too, Michael. Wouldn't it just be delicious if the Jags win, Purdy struggles, and now
I root for that every week.
And what are you going to hear? Oh, in 2021, Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones as his quarterback, and he was 2-0 with Mac Jones. And Mac Jones is, he had more arm talent coming out of college than, Schlock Purdy did,
Yeah. Another game we have with another undefeated team, the Indianapolis Colts.
Not the St. Louis. Oh my God, not the Los. I almost said St. Louis Rams, not the Los Angeles Rams. They're not undefeated.
To take on the Rams. No, they are not. The Rams coming off about as heartbreaking of a regular season loss as you can have. Blocked field goal ending their hopes. Taking on an undefeated Colts team, which they look really good through 3 weeks. Maybe they're not just the Saints of last year. Maybe they're a little bit better than that. Maybe Shane Steichen really is cooking with something. Jonathan Taylor looks out of this world. Their defense
I noticed
is better than it's been.
I mean, look, Daniel Jones played well against that Broncos defense, Michael. He played well against that defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Dolphins defense is a shambolic abomination, so we don't really count that. But then we have, I mean, even like last week, we were like, maybe the Titans, rise to the occasion. No, they just cooked them. They just got cooked. Straight up cooked.
Yeah.
I will say, this does feel like Rams bounce back. This literally screams Rams bounce back to me. I think it will be a close game. Let me throw something your way, though, Michael. The Rams blitzes they were calling on the Eagles. Obviously, Matt Pryor is like a garbage can out there. Like he should not be playing right tackle ever at the NFL level. Last week was a strong indication of that. Guy used to be on the Colts, by the way. Do you feel like Daniel Jones? He's still only making one read. It's just that they're out talenting and out scheming the defense when he's making his one read versus when he was on the Giants, right? I kind of feel like that's going to catch up to him at some point, and I think this is going to be the week it's going to catch up to him.
Yeah, but now I think
right.
Yeah, I think the Rams pass rush is really, really good. They really get after it, and I think if there's ever a team that's going to, and the Broncos pass rush is good, and it didn't rattle Daniel Jones, but you're also playing against Bo Nix on the other side, who blows. So I think the pass rush is going to be able to get after and get Daniel Jones uncomfortable, and really cause some issues there. Granted, it'll be interesting to see if the Colts can run the ball efficiently and effectively against the Rams because the Eagles were not. I tend to think that's more of an Eagles thing as opposed to a Rams thing.
I think the
Eagles run offense sucks. We'll talk about that, but it's horrible right now. I'm taking the Rams -3.5 because I think when the defense gets them uncomfortable and maybe gets a few stops, I think the Rams offense is really going to be cooking. Stafford did not play well against the Eagles. Like, he missed some big throws early in that game that they ended drives and field goals that could have very well have been touchdowns. Like, they should have been up by at least like 20 points at halftime against the Eagles, and they were only up
Right.
like 9. And that's
See,
rough, man.
yeah, but if you remember in that game on the uh incompletion or the completion that was called incomplete, that was then called back a completion, the Puka Nakua first down, Stafford took a shot in his lower back. He walked over, if you remember, he walked over to the sideline with Sean McVay, and he was like keeled over in pain.
No, he
He
looked. I
is
mean, yeah, but he
not
from
healthy.
jump he looked bad though. Like, he was missing throws early, like before that, which I know you're talking about, but
So do you think the Colts defense is like, no one really talks about the Colts defense at all because of the Daniel Jones resurgence, I suppose, but they put Bo Nix in hell, they put Tua in hell, they put Cam Ward in hell 3 weeks in a row.
yeah, I mean
Matthew
that's
Stafford
putting
is a much better quarterback than all the
yeah.
three guys I just mentioned for you,
Yeah,
Michael.
you mentioned a rookie and 2 of the worst starters in the league. So, yeah, I think that Matt Stafford's gonna have a little bit of an easier time dealing with the Colts defense. I think Puka's gonna cook again. I think they're gonna have a better they're gonna have a better time getting the ball to Devontae Adams. He's not gonna be totally strapped up by Quinyon Mitchell like he was all last week. Um,
Carson just had an awful interception to Jalen Ramsey, by the way.
well, that's this is what we worried about, John. Maybe we should have picked the Steelers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm taking the Rams to give the Colts their first loss today.
Okay. Me too.
Are you also taking the Rams? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a
All right.
somewhat intriguing game.
Yeah. Next game we have. This is definitely a little somewhat intriguing. This game's in Vegas. We have the Chicago Bears coming off their first win of the season to take on the Raiders, who are looking for their second win since week 1. They have gone winless. The Bears' offense looked great last week. Granted, Dallas Cowboys probably have the worst defense in the league. The Bears,
Probably they do.
the Bears rightfully shredded them. Caleb
Oh
looked great.
yes,
Roma Dunze looked great. Luther Burden got involved. Everything was working. The Bears could not miss.
DeAndre
Everything was
Swift.
going their way. Swift looked good. DJ Moore looked good. Everyone was looking great.
But
But it's the Cowboys defense. The Raiders have looked brutal after week 1, and they didn't even look great week 1. They got out of there with a win, but they did not look good. They looked horrible against the Chargers. They looked horrible against Commanders. I don't know, man. Like, they're gonna have to show me that they can play good football. I think I'm gonna take the Bears again because at least I think I trust that coaching staff more
I
than I
just
trust the
I see on
Raiders.
Twitter like who are the worst fans to have discourse with. Like shocker, like we're amongst them. But
Hmm.
apparently, a fan base that's terrible is the Chicago Bears fans. Because after that win against the Cowboys, I saw they were posting tweets of Dexter Grover being better than Jalen Carter. It's like apologize to polls right now, and they're
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. I
people,
saw that.
everyone's commenting on it saying like, you're an absolute idiot because polls sucks. Like the realistic
Sure,
fans were, like the
sure,
trolls.
sure.
Honest, it does feel. Here's the thing, though.
I'm taking the Bears plus 1.5.
Yeah, I agree. This Raider team. I mean, Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator for the Raiders, Michael.
Hmm.
And now you have this whole Brady like interviewing teams for broadcast, and can he use that information in their
It
game
just
plan?
doesn't even matter. Like, their offensive line is so bad that Ashton Genty has like more of his yards coming after contact or whatever than his total yards or
I
something
feel like
ridiculous.
Geno Smith is gonna bounce back. Now, does that mean they're gonna win? I think it's this game. I think this game has like a shootout written all over it.
It
I
could.
think this is gonna be a shootout. I'm gonna go with the Bears. I will say this. It's going to be very interesting next week, discourse wise, if Caleb has another 3 or 4 touchdown performance and he's just slinging the ball all over the field, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, I just think the Raiders' offensive line is so terrible that
If the Texans' offensive line wasn't as bad as it is, this is the worst offensive line in football. Ashton
yeah,
Genty, I don't know how this is mathematically possible. He has more yards after contact than actual rushing
right,
yards.
right. Like they want to run the football and they just are incapable because of their offensive line. And you become one dimensional airing it out, and Gino wants to push
Yeah,
the
it's
ball
because Chip Kelly
downfield.
doesn't have, 8 All-Americans like he did at Ohio State.
Yeah,
He doesn't
their
have
offensive line
Jeff
just bad.
Stoutland as his
So
offensive line coach. That's why.
sure. This is the game of the week, I guess. Um,
This is
Ravens
the game of the week,
Chiefs
I suppose.
in in Kansas City. Two AFC powerhouses over the years that are both sitting at 1-2. You thinking about who needs this game more, who desperately needs it more, whatever. I
I
think
think
the
it's
Chiefs
obvious.
need it. I think the Chiefs need it more, man. As bad as it
Really?
would,
You think the
yeah, because
Chiefs need it more?
yes, because I think the Chiefs are worse, and the
Yeah.
reason the Chiefs need it more is because of the division as well. Like, the Ravens fall to 1-4 or 1-3. That's not good. It's not good at all. But you take a look and you're like, "Look, we look at the AFC North. Joe Burrow's out for the season, essentially. The Browns are the Browns, and the Steelers are the Steelers, which is average." It's like, listen,
Uh,
we just gotta bank home our wins against, our division, which isn't very good, and we're gonna get some easier games up on the schedule that we just gotta bang home some wins. We're gonna win the AFC North. They're confident just because you start 1-3, they're still gonna win that division. Kansas City Chiefs, if they lose today and the Chargers win like we think they're going to, all of a sudden they're sitting at 1-3 and the Chargers are 4-0. That division is looking very bleak through a month of the season. Because I mean, how many times, John, does a team start 4-0 and the team that goes 1-3 wins the division against the 4-0 team? That just doesn't happen.
I
And
agree.
not
I'm sorry.
often.
I'm sighing not at you. I turned my head. Aaron Rodgers just scrambled, fumbled, went right in their hands, and like the Steelers' right tackle, and he runs for another 10 yards. Like Steeler devil
Yeah,
magic.
so that's,
Steeler
that's
devil
how
magic.
today's going.
Steeler devil magic is on full display today. Sorry. So this is kind of my thing though. This is where I disagree with you on like who needs this game more. I think the Ravens need this game more. I'm going to tell you why I think the Ravens need this game more. Is for number one, if they go fall to 1-3 and like they get cooked by Mahomes, like Mahomes classic master class, 3 tutties,
I
300
just don't
plus
think
yards.
that's how this game's gonna go.
Zach Orr's getting fired. Like you watched that game against the Lions on Monday Night Football. Like if you're a Rave, like the your dad, like your Ravens fan's dad is like, I watched Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and like Jamie Sharper and like Chris McAllister like on our defenses, and we're strong on defense, and we just got punched and square in the mouth by a Lions team that was supposed to be a bunch of frauds because their coordinators are gone.
Yeah, but
Where
you know
everyone in
that's
this
not.
stadium knew what they wanted to do, which was run the ball, and they could do nothing to stop it. And then you look at what happened on offense for the Ravens is you have a top 5 all-time running back when he retires, Michael, and Derrick Henry, right? He will be a top 5 running back all time when he retires. He is like a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame as a first ballot. 3 straight weeks with the fumble. Michael, if you don't think the Chiefs are going to be trying everything they possibly can to punch the ball out of his hands when he's carrying the ball and he fumbles again, is that on Derrick Henry solely, or is that on John Harbaugh, his horrible pregame preparation, and the fact right
I mean,
now
it's on the player. You
the
can't. You're
Ravens have
supposed
the
to be that
best
guy.
roster in football, and they're
Mm,
just
I thought so too, but I'm looking at the defense, and it's just no
they have
edge
injuries.
rush,
They have a
no
lot of injuries.
Matabike.
But here's the thing,
I
though: these good teams, when they have injuries, they find ways to win. The Ravens' coaching is bad. John
sure.
Harbaugh is not a good head coach anymore. Todd Monken, I think, is like carried by Lamar. He's more competent than Greg Roman, which now, ironically, Greg Roman is the offensive coordinator for the Chargers, and he's going to have Justin Herbert look like an MVP this year.
Listen, we know how this game's gonna go. We know how this game's gonna go. The Chiefs aren't scoring 30 points. They're just not. They're incapable. They're incapable of doing it until they get Rashee Rice back. Doesn't matter that Worthy's back. They're not going to do it until they get Rice. And the Giants defense sucks. I'm sorry. They got players, but it sucks. And they put up a measly 22 points. You know, they're incapable. The Chiefs offense is just not good enough.
I think the Chiefs offense has a similar problem to the Eagles offense where they're just afraid for some reason to throw intermediary.
Well, John, the biggest problem of the Chiefs offense is that it sucks. Like the talent level is awful. That's the
I
problem.
don't disagree with you on that too, but at the same time,
Their
bro,
third best offensive player is a 36-year-old corpse tight end.
Patrick Mahomes' like efficiency has gone down every year that Matt Nagy's been the offensive coordinator there. And Matt Nagy, Michael, is like Shane Waldron.
Well, the talent level's depleted, though. Like you look at their offense, it's like Mahomes is great, Creed Humphrey is great. Who's the third best player? Travis Kelce.
Trey Smith.
He's 36 years old. He can't move. Trey Smith is fine at best. He's good, but like I think he's overrated, overpaid.
Like interior lineman in football. He's
He's overrated. He was getting bitched by everybody every week. They have no run game. They have no good running backs. Xavier Worthy's a fine player, but he's a complimentary receiver at best. Juju, like you're running out Juju Smith-Schuster and Tyquan Thornton for majority of their plays. The offense blows. It's just a poorly
you would have
been,
dude, if you saw some of these Patriot offenses they had like the early 2010s, like I'm sorry, like the pre-Moss and like post-Moss era, you would have been like, oh my God, John, how does this
but they still had Deion Branch and pre-Moss. It's not like those Patriot teams were lighting up the scoreboard every week. Like they were grinding out games. And then post-Moss, they got Gronk.
This Chief offense can't even do that. Like that's the problem. I think that's kind of how they
grind it out. Like they grinded out a win against the Giants. They were a drop touchdown away from beating the Eagles. You know, they just grind out possessions and grind, and that's their goal. It's what they try to do. I'm taking Kansas City because I do think there's demons in the Ravens' minds, especially in Arrowhead, and I just think that the Ravens, not that they're going in this game like, listen, it's not the end of the world that we lose because we can win our shitty division. I just think that the Chiefs are going to find a way today, and Baltimore is going to have like the team meeting, internal thing. They got to lock in, and they can go on a little run, play like themselves. They got to get out of the way of some demon devil magic at the moment. They got to step out of it. You know, they had the brutal loss against Baltimore. You had the brutal loss last week.
No Madubuike, their fullback Patrick Ricard out, Isaiah Likely questionable. Ronnie Stanley is questionable. Kyle Van Noy questionable. They do have injuries, but the Chiefs also, I mean, like
I just think Kansas City, they're desperate. There's a desperation factor with this game, and I think that's going to pull through. So I'm taking the Chiefs.
I'm taking the Ravens. I kind of feel like, listen, like I feel like this is a game where Lamar, like he just is gonna kind of. I'm actually very curious what's Lamar's stats against the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson versus Kansas City. I was just bagging on Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry has dominated the Chiefs. It feels like every time they go again, like they have no.
Lamar has not played well against the Chiefs in his career.
Lamar Jackson has a career passer rating of 81.9 with 1,023 yards, 5 tutties, 2 picks in 5 games versus Kansas City. Oddly, funny enough, because 3 of those games were on the road, he has no turnovers in those games, but
he threw 2 picks at home a handful of years ago. Yeah, so
right.
Listen,
I'm taking the Ravens. I'm taking Baltimore. I know they're on the road. I do feel like this. I could see this Chiefs team maybe falling to like 2-4 at some point, and then they go on their run in the second half and they squeak into the playoffs. But I also like to your point too, Michael. You're like from a talent standpoint, there is a massive disparity, I think, between them and the Ravens.
For
We're
sure.
also, but then picking the Chiefs, it's sort of like, oh, yeah, the Eagles are way more talented than the Chiefs are, but it's Mahomes, so we're gonna, I don't like,
And
I don't
listen,
think that matters anymore.
they were almost right. That would have been almost correct. Some things had to go the Eagles' way. And granted, that's it's kind of the way the Eagles are perceived now. They are the team. They are the scary team that teams freak out against. Um, on to Sunday night, headline matchup: Packers in Dallas. Micah Parsons returned. They're not going to do a tribute video. All that sort of
Why would
stuff.
they do a tribute video? It's like you totally screwed that up. Now we're gonna piss our fans off more.
Yeah, so I'm taking Green Bay -7. I think Micah Parsons wrecks this game.
I 100% agree. I'm taking Green Bay.
I
Did you
think
hear
I think
Jerry
he takes
Jones'
over.
comment? What do you think of Jerry Jones's comment about? Oh well, it's not like Myles Garrett ever helped us. Myles Garrett, geez, Micah Parsons ever helped us get to a Super Bowl, and I'm like, Micah Parsons.
He's
I'm
clueless.
like,
He
Micah
is.
Parsons almost single-handedly won you that divisional game in 2022 when Dak Prescott pissed down his leg
I mean, he's
against the
demented.
Niners.
Jerry Jones is demented. There's no other way around it. He has dementia. Like
Like,
he's just.
dude, if I'm like Dak Prescott, he's mouthing off about Micah Parsons. At some point, do you just want to be like, get me the hell out of here? Because why are you going to motivate
No, he's making
him?
way too much money to leave. He doesn't care. If he cared, he would have left. That's the problem. The athletes, NFL athletes in particular, loyal to a fault, loyal to that team that drafted them. Most of them are. That there is no good reason for anyone. There is no reason to want to stay in Dallas. Anyone. It's why they don't never get free agents, but they all do because Jerry writes the big check, and teams are like, they did draft me. And players value that in the NFL more than any other sport. Cowboys defense is putrid, so it's also a nice get right opportunity for the Packers offense to go off.
But at the
I think
same
they're going to be
time, everyone's
slinging it
like
down the field.
praising the Packers. If Jordan Love struggles in this game, do you feel like, wow, the Packers are beatable?
I mean, I think they are beatable, and I think Jordan Love is the reason. We talked about this. Me and you talked about this. I talked about this with Nick as well, like 2 weeks ago. It was like after the Commander game that it was like, listen, the Packers defense is really, really good, and a lot of it has to do with Micah Parsons. Their running game is very good, although not the most efficient. It's still very good, and it wears you down. If they're going to lose in a playoff game, it is going to be pretty much every time going to be because of Jordan Love. Couple turnovers and not pushing the ball too much when maybe he doesn't need to. So we know that he's what the downfall of the Packers looks like. It's just a matter of if the opportunity is going to present itself. But yeah, Green Bay I think should have no trouble scoring, and I think Parsons really wreaks a lot of havoc and causes a lot of problems. We have another Monday night doubleheader this week, which, of course, two
I'm thinking
horrible
Green Bay as
games.
well. I don't know if I said that.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Two horrible games on Monday night. We have the Jets and the Dolphins, two teams that
Yeah,
suck.
NFL schedule maker putting Dolphins back-to-back primetime games should be fired.
Dolphins are 2.5-point favorites. I guess I'll take the Dolphins. I guess.
What?
Is it Tyrod Taylor again, or is it Justin Fields?
I think it's Justin Fields. I'm taking the Jets, Michael. I'm taking the Jets. I'm
taking the Jets too. I'm not taking
taking
the
the
Dolphins
Jets
until they win
because
a game.
this Dolphins
That's my rule.
Listen, I think there's two teams that they're both super inept, but they're going to just be they should be massive sellers at the deadline. Saints are one, Dolphins are the other. I do feel like, listen, like Aaron Glenn has been close to tasting victory, his first NFL win. Jets, Dolphins, massive rivals. I know it's like the battle of mid, but that's even kind of like a credit. I'm taking the Jets. I think the Jets have. God, I don't say
What
more
do
talent.
the Jets have?
I think the Jets have got.
They don't have anything, John.
I think the
It's
Jets
just,
got more going for them, believe it or not, as a winless team than the Dolphins do as a winless team.
yeah, I think they have more.
Do you feel like? Did you feel like
That's what
this
I
is the
think the
game?
Jets
Tua?
had.
Do you feel like this is the game where the Dolphins sickos, where if Tua throws 2 touchdowns, you're gonna be like, look, see, Tua can still play. He's better than he's better than
No, I
half the
think they
quarterbacks.
all no. Those people don't exist anymore. They all know Tua sucks. Everyone knows Tua sucks. It's out there. No, there is not one single human being that still believes in Tua, and I don't even know if Tua believes in Tua. Um, I'm not. My rule from here on out is I'm not picking the Dolphins until they win a game. So I'm going to take the Jets with you, and the Dolphins are terrible. So the other Monday night game that also is horrible, the Cincinnati Bengals and Jake Browning on the road against Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. Now, I should take the Broncos, right? The defense is
Oh,
really
you're a
good.
hater.
We just we just saw how bad the Bengals offense looked against a similarly
People forget about that Bengal comeback that Jake Browning had 3 interceptions.
right, right. And this is against another really good defense with the Broncos. I'll take Denver. I won't take Cincinnati. I'll take
I'm
Denver.
taking Denver as well. I feel like this game is the RJ Harvey potential breakout because the key to beating this Bengals team is force turnovers and don't turn it over yourself.
Yeah. Which now takes us to the Eagles game. Eagles in Tampa. It's never fun. It's always annoying. However, this is the first time in a long time that the Eagles are going to be heading down there with a healthy offense. The defense is banged up. That second cornerback spot, Adoree Jackson's probably going to be out. We know Jacorian Bennett's on IR. We know Nolan Smith just got put on IR.
It's gonna be a Mecca Egbuka. Well, here's the thing: you look at the Bucks receiving core; they're banged up too. No Mike Evans. Egbuka has been kind of like he's been playing, but he's been battling injuries, and now Chris
They
Godwin
get
is
Godwin back. They're
Chris
the Bucks
Godwin
are
is
getting
making his
healthy.
first start since he dislocated his ankle and turned it 180 degrees.
Listen, the Bucks are getting healthy. The Eagles are hurt on defense, and the Bucks are
Oh no,
healthy
the
on
Bucks are
offense.
still pretty banged up as well. So
They are,
Buccaneers.
but they're getting Wirfs back, which like you take away Nolan Smith and you give them Tristan Wirfs. It's going to be a
I
long
feel
day.
like though when you have players that are working their way back from injuries and you're still getting your wind about you, playing in 108-degree weather is not good for yourself, let alone, that's just kind of my thing. We're making a big deal about the heat because of last year because the Eagles had so many guys suffer from like heat exhaustion that they had to leave the game. I think they also left the game because the Eagles were getting their asses kicked. That was also why they were leaving the game as well. That no one wants to bring up. Listen. Todd Bowles is like the only guy in the NFL that has solved Jalen Hurts, right? For the most part, right?
Sure.
The Bucks last week ran 6 weak side like box blitzes on Tyrod Taylor. They hit him all 6 times. The Eagles' offensive line, this is like the worst I've seen them start out in a very long time. I know it's because of Landon Dickerson being banged up and Tyler Steen.
Yeah, like I'm sick of watching Dickerson play right now. I'll be honest. He looks awful. Like he just looks really bad. And it's because he's hurt. He's not healthy. And I think shame on the Eagles for not sitting him the first few weeks of the season. I really do think that was a bad decision on their part. They're usually pretty good about that stuff. This is a failure because you're not giving him a chance to heal. There was
But
no reason to rush him
watch
back
their
week one.
offensive line play in the second half when Fred Johnson stepped in after Lane left and then Matt Pryor was in. Their offensive line play definitely stepped it up that
Yeah, but
second
in the
half.
passing game, they still couldn't run the ball. Like they can't.
Well, that's
They
because
haven't.
it's because their offensive coordinator is calling like dive plays in the stacked 8-man, 7-man boxes.
Listen, it's bad run design combined with the fact that really the left side of the offensive line has run blocked like shit. both Mailata and Dickerson have sucked this year run blocking. They both consistently are getting beat across their face. They're getting out muscled. It's been ugly from those two. It's really been disappointing.
It's weird
Um,
that how you look at the parallels of last year to this year, that the Eagles offense turned up in the second half of that Saints game. The only difference being the Rams are a much better team than the Saints, so it was way closer last year, right?
sure.
And now they're heading down to Tampa
Yeah,
after.
no, it's a very similar. So
It's really bizarre. However,
yeah,
I do feel like this team, because of the lessons of last year and the year before, kind of know how to handle it, I suppose. I do think, though, it's not going to be as bad as it was last year. But you also will need to see
no, I
them
mean their
improvement a little
offense,
bit.
the Eagles' offense is healthy heading into Tampa. You know, they didn't have AJ Brown, they didn't have Devonta Smith, and they didn't have Lane Johnson going into that Buccaneers game last year. There was a 0% chance the Eagles were ever winning that game. You could have put anyone back there, quarterback. You could have put any. It didn't matter. It did not matter. They don't. When Lane Johnson doesn't play, they usually don't win. When AJ Brown doesn't play, they also usually don't win. That's usually how that goes. When they're playing, they usually win. So I'm taking the Eagles today because I'm sick of all the Tampa garbage. The Buccaneers are 3-0 and they just have not looked great doing it. I'm sick of like, oh, Baker just playing out of it's like, dude, Baker plays like average as shit for like 3.5 quarters and then puts together a couple drives at the end of the game and they win. That bum on the Texans, whoever that safety or corner was that was blitzing in, that totally whiffed on the sack on 4th down, where it's like, okay, anyone else breaks down and makes the play and the game's over, but instead that dude was coming in 1,000 miles an hour out of control, and he shakes it and scrambles, and they eventually go ahead and put in the game-winning drive. I'm I think the Eagles' defense is while injured, it is about I think it's gonna be as prepared as it's been for a Baker Mayfield-led offense for the first time in a while. I think last year, they were under the impression that, like, "Oh, Baker we're gonna be able to get home with 4 because Baker holds the ball for a while," and it's like, every time we play Baker, he's getting rid of the ball like this, so I don't know what you thought was gonna happen that was gonna be different,
Well, the
and
Eagles are going to be
obviously
missing. You mentioned injuries. You mentioned the second quarterback spot.
yeah,
It
no
was
Nolan Smith, no
Nolan
no
Smith is going to be on the short term IR. He's going to miss, actually, I think 5 games,
mhm,
because they want to bring him back on the bye week is when he's going to be
right,
activated.
right,
Thank goodness they signed Zadarius Smith, even though he didn't really do anything last week on like 21 snaps.
right.
Obviously, now he's going to be way expected to definitely contribute a lot more. Josh Uche, he's been showing up on the pressures, but you want to see maybe more some counting stats, I suppose, for him as well. And I'm guessing BJ Ojolari will be active today, is he going to make his season debut?
He's gonna have to, Azeez Ojulari.
Aziz.
He's gonna have to make his debut. I'd love to see Jalix Hunt show me a little more. I'd love to see that. Haven't seen much from him, but it's gonna have to be a big day from the interior guys. It's gonna have to be a big day for Carter and Davis again. Big day
I
from the
do want to talk
linebackers
about
again.
Jalen Carter a little bit. Like, obviously, he's kind of had a rough start to the season. And last year in the third game, he turned it around against the Saints. He was a force. The Eagles got shredded on the ground last week. The Rams were running at the heart of the Eagles defense, and they were just getting blown off the ball, especially on Carter's side. And I do feel like we kind of like the Bucks have not been very good at running the ball this year like they were last year under Liam Cohen. Big reason is their offensive line. It's banged up. Cody
Mhm,
Walk out for the
mhm,
season. No Tristan Wirfs. You know,
mhm.
Ryan Jensen retired. Like their
Yeah,
O line is
getting Wirfs back helps a lot.
right. I do think though, like Wirfs hasn't played. This is his season debut. they're knocking the rust off. It's like A.J. Brown week 1 against the Cowboys. You know A.J. Brown didn't look like himself against the Cowboys. He could barely get any separation. He's knocking the rust off. Making it like knocking your rust off against
I think
the
it's a
Eagles.
little different as an offensive lineman, though.
I mean, no, because it's all about footwork and, listen, I'm sure he's really happy he's not going to go against Nolan Smith at all, Tristan Wirfs, I would say Jalen Hunt's going to be expected to step his game up because technically he's the best edge rusher on the roster,
Like, what's frustrating is that Wirfs had arthroscopic knee surgery, and that's what made him miss time. Landon Dickerson had the same thing like 2 months later and is playing right away. Tristan Wirfs had it in July, and he missed the first 3 weeks of the season. Maybe Landon Dickerson should be sitting. I don't know. That's just me. Because whatever you're getting out of him it's not worth it. I don't know. He's just not very good with the injury.
I think it's pretty telling what they think of their backup O-line if they need him to play hurt. Because their backup guard
then that's shame on you. Like, that's shame on you.
That's on Howie.
You need to figure that out because
I guess to a certain extent, maybe Jeff Stoutland.
It's unacceptable. You need better backups. You hoped Kenyon Green was that guy, but he's horrible.
Not having trouble here. Like, they were kind of cooking a little bit last year with Barkley when they were down. Because they were calling so many blitzes. You call a blitz and you cover the gap, it's going to spring them free.
The Eagles were a much better run blocking team last year than they are this year.
Of course they were. But I would say this, though, too. It doesn't matter how good of a run blocking team. If they're sending 8 and you have 6, let's say you have 6 guys to block, Michael, I don't care who you are. You're not going to just freely run the ball. The reason why the Eagles ran the ball so well last year, in part, because teams were scared of Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. And because of their play calling the first two and a half games, they're calling these like milquetoast conservative play calling. And the Rams were like, oh, wow, maybe they're not going to get A.J. Brown involved. Oh, wow, maybe they're not going to get Smitty involved deep down the field. What do the Rams do? They stopped blitzing. They kept, sorry, not stop blitzing. They were like, oh, let's just kind of run prevent. And then what's happening? A.J. Brown starts cooking them underneath. Devontae Smith starts cooking them. And then they're getting A.J. Brown one-on-one with Emmanuel Forbes. And if Emmanuel Forbes has absolutely no chance of making those open field tackles. That is what you saw. And what the Eagles do, march right down the field and score. Get the ball back. Ran out. March right down the field and score. I don't think the Eagles will be able to just do that on Tampa.
I think what they're going to be able to do and what they're going to have to do if they want to win this game, I'm not saying abandon the run game, but it's like, sorry.
I think you need to pass the ball a little bit to keep them honest, to open up the box.
You need to throw to open up the run game.
Get the ball to Barkley's hands. I think Saquon Barkley, if you look at the Bucs defense, though, with all of their blitzes, one thing they're very susceptible at is the running back getting involved in the passing game. Bijan Robinson had 6 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown against the Bucs defense.
Yeah, if you can get Barkley involved with the passing game, you can definitely get that involved. I think you got to,
I'm taking Tampa, and here's why I'm taking Tampa. Tampa's weakness on defense, you need to run plays like end arounds, running back screens, short, quick passes, like slant passes. The Eagles don't like to do that. Or if they do it, they're bad at it for some reason. I think that's going to play into the game. Jalen Hurts has 1 turnover so far this year. I think he's kind of due to have a game of a couple turnovers. Logically, this would be the game that would happen.
Here's my prediction. Baker doesn't play super well, turns it over.
Baker's banged up, too.
Jalen definitely turns it over once. Definitely. I think he throws a pick. Definitely think he throws a pick. I think the Eagles defense plays mostly well, and the Eagles offense is healthy. I think they're gonna focus on passing the ball. It's gonna be why Jalen throws a pick because they're gonna be throwing it, and he's gonna rip one. It's gonna just get maybe tipped in the air, maybe jumped, but it's fine. I'm gonna live with it because that's what I want them to do. I want them to be pushing it through the air until they can show that they're capable of running the football again this year. What does that equal to me? I think they're still gonna win. I think the Eagles, they're finally healthy on offense. They're gonna finally have their full disposal trying to run an offense in Tampa for the first time since 2023, that regular season game, which, by the way, they beat the shit out of the Buccaneers, if people forget that, back in 2023 in that week 3 game down there. They killed them. There was like 25-13 or whatever, but Eagles finished a couple of those drives, could have very easily have been like 38-13. It was that much of a dominance. And AJ Brown cooked that day. He had a great day. Devonta Smith had a good day. Like those are those two guys and Lane Johnson being healthy, they're going to be able to kind of spread it how they want to spread it. It's not you're not going in there with your receivers being Dotson, Paris Campbell, and John Ross. Like you're going in there with legitimate scary weapons. I think they're going to be able to put some pressure on the Buccaneers defense, which has been kind of the antithesis of what's been happening, which is Bowles just blitzing the living hell out of the Eagles and causing problems for Jalen. So they like the Eagles can't be surprised by anything Tampa wants to do, especially on defense, because we know what they want to do. We know they want to blitz. We know they want to get Jalen off his spot. We know they want to get him uncomfortable. You need to have answers to it today. You need to have quick answers to it and answers to your stars, not just answers of like, oh, just throw it away. Answers of like, I know I have Devonta Smith here. I know I have AJ Brown here. So we'll see how it goes. I do think they win today. I think it's about that time. And I refuse for them to let Tampa start 4-0. So,
I'm taking
the Eagles.
Tampa. I'm taking Tampa to cover the spread. I think it's
All right.
going to be another sweat job.
And that's our show then.
That's our show, everybody. Well, everybody, take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Enjoy some NFL today.
Enjoy some football. Yeah, take it easy.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Phillies Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on firedupsports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.